In the beginning, angels and demons fought endlessly in a war known as the Eternal Conflict. Their goal was to hold sway over all creation in the name of chaos and order respectively. At the heart of their war was a powerful artifact known as the World Stone, a reality-altering relic that granted untold power to those who would wield it, yet neither side would hold it in their possession for long. The main stage of the Diablo series would be set in a world named Sanctuary, a world created by the conjoined forces of the high heavens and burning hells to escape from this eternal war. Led by the archangel Inarius and the daughter of hatred, Lilith, in a blasphemous unison, they stole and used the great monolithic crystalline world stone, fragmented from the god Anu, to create their sanctuary in hopes of obtaining peace from the never-ending war of their brethren. The stone would then rest at the heart of the world and remain a source of great power as it was hidden within the mountain region of Arieton Sanctuary. It's here we would see the rise of the first humans in the cosmology of Diablo. Created by the union of angel and demon, these Nephilim would become the predominant peoples of the planet and the center of events throughout the game's timeline. Fearing the growing power of these Nephilim, it was put before Inarius that they should be destroyed to prevent the forces of heaven and hell from finding sanctuary and laying waste to his new paradise, as they had done so many times before across the course of the Eternal Conflict. This decision would not sit well with Inarius, so he went into quiet contemplation to mull over this drastic choice. However, Lilith would not hear of proposed filicide, having need of the power of the Nephilim to fulfill her goal of overthrowing the high heavens and burning hells and being the sole victor of the Eternal Conflict. And so, in a fit of rage, Lilith took the form of a beast of fang and claw and began to slay every rogue angel and demon who lacked the good sense to return to their respective planes. This action angered Inarius, but as he truly had feelings for Lilith, he vowed he would never kill her, nor could he harm her, and instead chose to banish her to a bleak realm of nothingness called the Void. The power of the Nephilim still proved too great to ignore, so Inarius attuned the World Stone to lessen their power gradually over time, reducing them to powerless humans and robbing the Nephilim of their immortality. Those who rose up against Inarius during this time would suffer under his wrath and be slain. Inarius had gone into hiding not long after leaving the world without leadership or guidance. Mankind would not sit idly by, and as tribes formed, civilizations rose across the world, forming their own governments and organizations. And man would eventually seek to restore their own power, developing the various forms of magic we see throughout history. One such form of magic, the power of conjuring spirits, was developed by the Vajeri, the spirit clan of mages. One mage, Jerry Harash, would conjure a spirit in a particularly dark mood and attract the soul of a demon from the burning hells by accident. Realizing what he'd conjured too late, he banished the spirit back, but that demon would reveal to the prime evils the location and existence of Sanctuary. The prime evils would then set a foothold on Sanctuary, realizing humanity could be used as a viable weapon, and established their own Temple of the Triune. In response, Inarius, desperate, returned from hiding and founded the Cathedral of Light to counter the influences of the Triune on humanity, and thus began the battle for the soul of mankind, known as the Sin War. During this time, Lilith found a way back into the world from the Void and began attempting to rebuild her army of Nephilim, weaving her influences on a farmer by the name of Uldician Uldiomed, while in the guise of a young human woman. Along with his brother Mendeln and two of his friends, Achilleos and Serenthia, the crew would rally the people of southern Kyrgyzstan, forming an army of powered Nephilim known as the Edirim, and take on the Triune and the Cathedral of Light in tandem. It wouldn't take long before Lilith's manipulations were revealed and defeated as well, as she was banished for a second time to the Void by Inarius. before Inarius himself was defeated in combat by the farmer Uldyssian. The damage was done, and Sanctuary was now in plain view of both the high heavens and burning hells as a new battleground. However, in a joint decision by the Angiras Council of the High Heavens and Mephisto of the Burning Hells, Sanctuary was decidedly left alone, and not destroyed as so many other worlds had been before, and they instead opted to stay out of humanity's way, but also watch them from a distance, but at a price. Inarius was promptly gifted by the high heavens to Mephisto as a peace offering, and for his transgressions, he was tormented in the realm of hatred for the next 3,000 years. And at the culmination of the battle, Uldyssian had sacrificed himself, lending his own essence to the whole of Sanctuary, sending both the armies of heaven and hell back to their respective planes, and the World Stone was then reattuned, limiting the power of the Nephilim. Now leaderless, after the fall of the Temple of Triune and Cathedral of Light, the Mage clans assumed control of the political landscape of Sanctuary. The most powerful, the Vigeri, would hold the greatest influence, but internal strife would cause the delicate balance of power to collapse. Two brothers, Bartok and Horizon of the Vigeri, would struggle for control. Not learning the lesson with summoning of demons, the two waged a bloody war against each other, arguing over how to utilize demons to their advantage, causing immense devastation across the world and losing faith in the Mage clans by the people of Sanctuary. It's at this time the Mage clans became reviled in the people's eyes, and religion would move in to take its place, and an ascetic priest by the name of Akarat would found the religion of the Zakarum, becoming the dominant political power across the land, setting up footholds across all the world, from Kurast, the center of power, to Westmarch in the far western lands of Kandorus. The failure of the prime evils during the Sin War would spark a civil war in the Burning Hells, ultimately ending in the exile of the prime evils, Mephisto, Baal and Diablo, to Sanctuary, thanks to the combined forces of the lesser evils, where they were hunted and imprisoned by a group of mages, a clandestine group known as the Herodrum, that was formed surreptitiously by the Archangel Tyrael as to not break the High Heaven's former pact to stay off Sanctuary. These Herodric hunts resulted in the primes being held in specially attuned Worldstone shards, known as Soul Stones. One was safeguarded by the Zakarum and Kurast. One was sealed in the chest of the leader of the Herodrum, Tal Rasha, deep in the sands of Aranok. And the last was buried within a labyrinth built into the hills of Kandorus, which would later become known as Tristram. The influence of the prime evils was too much for the stones to contain, however, and Mephisto would begin to seep out his hatred throughout the Zakarum church, taking over the head of the order, Sankakur, after their former leader, Kaleem, would not yield to evil's influence, his will just being too great. Mephisto counted on the events leading to the current state of being and set in motion his plan to free his brothers and once again use Sanctuary as a staging point to grow the power of the Burning Hells. He would then send the great adherent Leoric and his Archbishop Lazarus to Kandorus to find his seat of power in Tristram and free his brother as their new king, with the ultimate goal of the now corrupted Lazarus unearthing the Crimson Soul Stone, holding the youngest of the prime evils, Diablo's soul. This brings us then to the events of Diablo 1. Tristram, with Leoric as their king, would flourish for a time, but quickly descend into destitution. Lazarus found Diablo's prison, and after failing to utilize Leoric as the demon's host, turned his youngest son, Ulbricht. The disappearance of Ulbricht would drive the king mad, slaughtering the citizens of Tristram out of suspicion, until his own knights would slay him, but not before he muttered a curse that would bind them to him even in undeath as the Skeleton King. Soon after, 3 heroes would come to Tristram's aid: Morena of the Sisterhood of the Sightless Eye, Jazrith of the Vigeri, and Aidan, the eldest son of Leoric, and they would liberate the town from the evil influence of Leoric and Lazarus. But Lazarus's work was complete, and Diablo had found its new host in the young Ulbricht. After a grueling fight with the beast on the outskirts of hell, Aiden, the warrior, realizing Diablo would once again escape, mistakenly took the Soul Stone into his own body to seal the demon. But this act would not stop the plans of Mephisto, for the all-consuming influence of the prime evils would snuff out the light and leave only darkness in its wake. After a time of recovery and celebration, Aiden, Morena, and Jazareth would leave from Tristram, but the burning hells would follow in their wake. Demons and undead ravaged the town of Tristram and spread throughout the land. In Diablo 2, 5 heroes, including Cassia the Amazon, Zul the Necromancer, and Ascendra the Sorceress, along with a yet unnamed barbarian and paladin, would arise to answer this new surge of evil. Aiden, now possessed by Diablo, had set out across the land, heading east towards Kurast, and, having corrupted Morena, now the dreaded Bloodraven, enlisted the aid of the lesser evils Andariel and her twin brother Juriel, who had been summoned to Sanctuary from the burning hells by a summoning that Morena was coerced into. These two lesser evils acted to slow the heroes from catching up with this new dark wanderer and his quest to free his imprisoned brother Baal, whose location was hidden by lost Herodric knowledge, which the party uncovers in Horizon's arcane sanctuary, now inhabited by a newly corrupted Jazareth, the summoner. The heroes would then locate the prison of the demon Baal with the aid of Tristram's town scholar and last of the Herodrim, Deckard Cain, rescued from the ruins of Tristram, but it's too late. Now freed, Baal and Diablo steal across the Twin Seas to Kurast and soon join together with their brother Mephisto, who opens a portal to the burning hells for Diablo and sends Baal to gather himself and rally his forces to launch an assault against Ariat and corrupt the coveted World Stone, while Mephisto holds off the heroes in the depths of the Travancore Temple. Diablo is then pursued into hell by the heroes, and with the aid of the Archangel Tyrael, he is defeated, and his and Mephisto's Soul Stones were destroyed at the Great Hellforge, presumably ending the two evils for good. The heroes then follow after Baal. Joined by a druid of Skosglen and an assassin of the Vizjaktar, the heroes confront Baal within the Worldstone Keep, who has laid waste to the barbarian homeland. But Baal has completed Mephisto's plan, corrupting the Great Stone with a shard of his own Soul Stone. Even with the destruction of Baal, it's too late to reverse the damage, and in a last-ditch effort, Tyrael destroys the Worldstone, scattering its shards across Sanctuary. In Diablo Immortal, Diablo's minion Skarn begins collecting shards of the Worldstone for the burning hells to resurrect the Lord of Terror. But with the aid of the Archangel Gilnira, these efforts fail, and the heroes stop the resurrection of Diablo. To hear more of this story, donate $24.99 to the channel. I'm joking. Moving on. 20 years pass between Diablo 2 and 3, with very little happening in between. But then Tyrael, who was thought dead, is resurrected after he was destroyed in the blast of the Worldstone's destruction, forsaking his angelic mantle, and is sent plummeting to Sanctuary, where he plays his part in the event of the End of Days prophecy. Deckard Cain and his adopted niece Leah, with the aid of another band of heroes, a barbarian, a wizard, a witch doctor, a monk, and a demon hunter, all canonically yet unnamed, save for some lesser connections to the short stories that may be cemented lore-wise in D4, uncover a plot of another lesser evil, Belial, who has sent his minion Magda and her coven to obtain the fallen star for himself. After killing Cain, an enraged Leah unleashes a terrific torrent of power, revealing a hidden gift within. After the heroes save Tyrael from Magda and restore, in part, his angelic power, they set out across the lands to stop Belial and the final lesser evil, Azmodan, who has mounted an assault from the crater of Ariat, all while learning more about Leah's growing power. They find and rescue the witch Adria, who is revealed to be Leah's mother and mentors in her growth. They also resurrect the slain Herodric mage Zoltan Kuhl, who constructed another soul stone capable of holding the souls of all 7 great evils. He also reveals to the heroes of their long-dormant power and sets them on the path to awakening it. With the Black Soul Stone, the heroes capture the essence of Belial and Azmodan, yet, strangely, The essences of the other 5 slain evils reside within already. Strangely, that is, until Adria reveals that she altered the stone and bound the evil's essence to it, drawing them in during a time of their demise. But the Soul Stone was complete without a host. However, one perfect candidate exists. Leah, the daughter of Adria and Prince Aidan, after he imprisoned Diablo within himself, joins with the Soul Stone, and now in possession of all 7 evils, becomes the prime evil, the living incarnation of Tathamet, the great 7-headed dragon that became the Burning Hells. Now powerful enough to mount an assault against the high heavens, Diablo routs the forces of heaven and nearly succeeds in destroying the Crystal Arch, before an awakened Nephilim, the heroes of Diablo 3, traveled with Leah, stops Diablo at the pinnacle of heaven. For a time after, all is quiet, save for a small coup involving Tyrael absconding from heaven with the Black Soul Stone to prevent its corruptive influences from doing any more damage to the high heaven. But one other angel desires its power also. Malthael, the once Archangel of Wisdom, now Angel of Death, takes the stone from Tyrael and launches a campaign to destroy the population of Sanctuary and the Burning Hells, as he deems the humans of Sanctuary, being part demon, evil. Malthael nearly succeeds if not for the intervention of the same awakened Nephilim, which we, the hero, control. This is even after Malthael absorbs the souls of the 7 evils trapped in the Black Soul Stone, which are released upon his death. It's also during this time that a Crusader and Necromancer join the ranks of the heroes. But who ends up being the canonical hero of Diablo 3 and Reaper of Souls is yet to be revealed. Perhaps we shall see in Diablo 4. This takes us to the upcoming addition to the timeline with Diablo 4. Please forgive the extremely abridged account of events. I want to fit in as much as I could into one timeline recap. The full story is much more nuanced, obviously, and I invite you to view the story in full, found in the play section of this channel, which will be fleshed out further when the game comes out. What we do currently know about Diablo 4 is Lilith has returned yet again, released by the machinations of an enigmatic pale summoner known as Elias, and has begun to spread her influences around Sanctuary and the Burning Hells. Anarius, curiously, has also returned, but by whose hand yet is unknown, and we will see in time. And what of the fates of the 7 great evils? We've seen Andariel and Duriel in gameplay teasers, but no hints as to the whereabouts of Diablo, Mephisto, Baal, Belial, and Asmodan, save for Lilith's cult holding Diablo's skull in a flash. What we do know is 5 heroes have joined the fight this time, with the Barbarian, Sorcerer, Necromancer, Druid and Rogue classes making up the first installment of playable heroes. Who knows how their stories will unfold, and how your choices will influence them, but we hope to see you in Sanctuary in June to find out.
I don't know if you would have chosen to stand beside me in this new world, Rathma. But I would have saved your place, just the same. And now, all that you might have been has been stolen from me. Stolen. This key unlocks more than the doors of hell. It unlocks our path to the future. A future made possible because of the price you paid. Your sacrifice will not have been in vain.